Evening. Welcome to the QCIS channel. We're on this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm going to tone it down just a little bit, and I am going to get into the careers of STEM. Now, when I started this channel 4 years ago, the name of the channel was The Mind of STEM. But I believe that name was taken or that logo was taken. So I began to use my logo from Quality Control Inspection Services. But I decided that I wanted to keep the content the same because there are not too many channels that really talk about STEM. Now, there are a lot of careers that go into STEM. Now, for the politically correct people, they have another acronym and they call it STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Well, the artsy part could go with the architecture, but I believe architecture because you have art with architecture. There's also mathematics with architecture. But basically, when we talk about STEM, we talk about science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, what are some of the STEM fields? Well, information technology is one STEM field. Civil engineering is another STEM field. Biology is a science field. And calculus is a mathematics field. Now, when we talk about STEM, a lot of the information goes hand in hand because if you really think about it, let's take engineering. Engineering involves science, technology, engineering, and math. Same with computer science. And I will say this, if you want to get into the STEM fields, you must have a good mathematical background. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to talk about careers in STEM, STEM and you. So, what do we really mean by STEM? And what is STEM? I want to start off with STEM and you, where your strengths meet the world's needs. So, what is STEM? STEM stands for a cluster of fields, or it stands for a cluster of careers in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. I stumbled over that momentarily, so let me clarify. If you want to talk about STEM, and if you really want to define STEM, STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math. Or we could say STEM stands for a cluster of careers in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, what do we really mean by STEM? Well, STEM is any field or career that creates, discovers, or applies new knowledge to make life better for all. Again, STEM is any field or career that creates, discovers, or applies new knowledge to make life better for all. In other words, when we talk about STEM careers, what we are doing, we're basically searching for new information, methods, and ways to do and understand things better. We work to effectively and efficiently solve the world's problems. STEM requires you to innovate, create, and discover, while you're required to ask why and how about things that need to be built, invented, and designed. So we want you to explore STEM careers because the world needs you and you may not have been given the message. STEM careers are cutting edge, profitable, beneficial, and in demand. People attracted to STEM are usually investigative people interested in knowing, finding out, analyzing, thinking, and of course, exploring. People who like STEM are often realistic people interested in work that demands physical activities, hands on tasks, practical solutions, and tool oriented problem solving. STEM fields value people who are interested in creating and being outside the box, artistic. I just mentioned it early. Architecture. You have to be pretty artistic to come up with the wild designs that architects think of. Then you have to be interested in organizing, processing, and record keeping, and that's conventional. Then you have to be interested in helping society and individuals. That's social. Then you have to be interested in leading, persuading, and selling, and that's known as enterprising. STEM is a way of doing, creating, organizing, and helping because all career fields are needed in STEM careers one way or another. All career interests use STEM knowledge and tools in their fields. And of course, STEM interests are incredibly cool because they make a real difference in everyday life. Now, why is STEM important? Well, number one, the knowledge economy. We always say this information is power and the global currency of the day. Again, the knowledge economy tells us that information is power and the global currency of the day. Effect of STEM on the US economy creates wealth and jobs. China and India are increasingly wise competitors with much larger populations from which to draw talent. Recent history in STEM, space race, Sputnik to the moon landing during the 1950s and 60s. The US was in competition with the former Soviet Union. Then we have the global economic crisis, which is the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. And then there's an achievement gap. Thus, observed disparity on a number of educational measures between the performance of groups of students, especially groups defined by gender, race, ethnicity, ability, and social economic status. How do you benefit from STEM today? Well, here are the everyday outcomes of STEM. There are cell phones, smartphones, or MP3 players, computer engineering, high-tech manufacturing. Some people love video games. There's computer engineering, hardware and software, animated movies, computer engineering, hardware and software, cars, mechanical engineering, high-tech manufacturing, mining engineering, petroleum engineering, digital photography, computer software and hardware engineering, plastic, that's petroleum engineering. Some places you might be surprised to find STEM, healthcare. Well, healthcare is prevention, treatment, and management of illness by creating biomedical devices and defining and developing chemical and biological processes. Then you have construction and mining, GIS, computer, programmed, heavy machinery, libraries, computer information systems embodied. You have manufacturing, which is computed, numerically controlled, known as CNC, machinery, mechanical engineering. Then there's social services, long distance psychotherapy via live video conferencing. Now, what's in it for you when we talk about STEM? Number one, you earn good pay. Number two, you earn respect. Number three, you learn new things every day. And number four, you create new technologies. And number five, you will be valuable to society. Now, some of the average salaries when it comes to STEM. Now, engineers, and this depends on the field, can make between $52,000 and $83,000 a year. Software engineers can make $85,000 a year. Chemists, $66,000 a year. Medical scientists, $73,000 a year. A geoscientist, $79,000 a year. An environmental scientist, $60,000 a year. And a biochemist and a biophysicist, $83,000 a year. Now, these numbers were taken from the U.S. Occupational Outlook Handbook. Look at that, and you will find the openings, the demands of STEM, and they give you a 10-year spread. Now, when we talk about STEM, we look at the career paths. There's science, technology, engineering, math, computing, and healthcare. Now, some science careers. Well, if you're interested in science, you're right in there with engineers, but you don't want to get math heavy. But some science does get math heavy. But if you don't want to get into the design and you want to do research, you can go in agricultural and food science. Then there are biological scientists. There are conservation scientists and foresters, medical scientists, atmospheric scientists, chemists and material scientists, environmental scientists and specialists, geoscientists and hydrologists, and physicists and astronomers. Again, for more science career, you can see the OOH professional occupations. Moving on. Some technology careers. You have computer network systems, database administrators, computer scientists, computer software engineers, computer programmers, computer support specialists, computer systems analysis. Again, we deal with the technology careers. A lot of it focuses on computers. Again, computer network systems, database administrators, computer scientists, computer software engineers, and computer programmers, computer support specialists, computer systems analysts. And you can also find the technology career info on OOH professional occupations as well. Now, here's a field that I'm in, some engineering fields, and there are a number of engineering fields, but we have about 15 of them listed here. There's aerospace engineering, agricultural engineering, biomedical engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, electronics engineering, environmental engineering, health and safety engineering, industrial engineering, marine engineering, materials engineering, mechanical engineering, mining and geological engineering, nuclear engineering, petroleum engineering. And these are pretty decent engineering fields. And you're going to find a number of these majors, particularly electrical, civil, chemical, and mechanical. They're your big four. You're going to find those at most of your bigger institutions. Now, your Purdue's and your MIT's and your Cal Polys and your Virginia Tech, this is when you're going to get into the other ones that I mentioned, like mining engineering, industrial engineering, health and safety. And a number of these fields also depend on the amount of interest, because I know Purdue, they had industrial engineering technology at some of their polytechnic campuses, but they don't have it anymore. Why? Because the enrollment is very low, and most people don't even know what industrial engineering is. And the number of people who want to get into engineering, they want to actually do some design work. And industrial engineering is more or less, you talk about optimization of systems, how to make them better, talk about reducing waste. You might design some queuing systems, ERP systems. You get more into your supply chain. That's what the industrial engineers do. Then we get into math. And with the math field, you can be a mathematician, statistician, an actuary. Actuaries are the ones that calculate the insurance, and that's based on what they believe is the amount of time you're going to live. Then you have your mathematicians. So you have actuaries, mathematicians, operations, research, analysis, and statisticians. Now, when you take industrial engineering, you will take a lot of statistics and operations research types of courses. Now, the top STEM industry clusters that have been listed based on sort of the critical infrastructure as well, which you're going to find advanced manufacturing, aerospace, biotechnology, energy, geospatial technology, healthcare, homeland security, information technology, nanotechnology, and of course, transportation. Now, the top STEM disciplines are chemistry, computer science, engineering, environmental science, geosciences, life sciences. Now, what do I mean by life sciences? Well, a life science is a microbiology or biology. And then you have anatomy as well. You also have physics and astronomy. And last but least, all STEM disciplines. That means every one of them is a top STEM discipline. Now, how some majors fit into one STEM workplace? Well, find your place at JPL. That's the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and this is at CIT, the California Institute of Technology. And what they've done with this computer screen, you choose from a list of majors to see how they are used within one workplace. And you can see the majors like aerospace engineering, business and finance, computer science, materials, and metallurgy, optical engineering. Yeah, when we did with optical engineering and design glasses and lenses. Then you have astronomy and astrophysics, chemical engineering, your earth sciences, mathematics, physics, biology, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. Now, to break everything down, gender and ethnic diversity, and it's required to meet global STEM needs. Well, you have the Women in Engineering Proactive Network, Engineer Girl, STEM Equity Pipeline, Diverse Education Blog. There's a STEM Career for You, and of course, Diversity Careers. Now, we have women in their stories, and there are videos out there tell you about the female role models in solving problems. A few folks tell their stories: Powering the Planet, The Wind Business, Second Skin Capability, Space Sports, The Space Sling, Designing and Engineering Rockets, Eris, Testing Rockets, Flying on Mars, Inventing Toys, Understanding Hurricanes, What Are Scientists and Engineers Like? the shape of phones, and of course, printing money. And then you have some famous and not so famous STEM people like Tracy Caldwell Dyson, chemist and astronaut, Steve Jobs, CEO of Apple, board member of Disney. Then you have Dorothy M. Metcalf, Lindenberger, geologist, teacher, astronaut, Story Musgrave, former astronaut with 6 degrees in fields including mathematics, statistics, operations analysis, and computer programming, chemistry, medicine, physiology, and biophysics, and surprisingly, literature, although literature is more of a humanities. Then you have Waverly Pearson, geophysicist, seismologist. Now, what is a seismologist? Well, a seismologist is a person who studies earthquakes. Now, how do you measure earthquakes? Well, you use a seismograph. And that's basically what Waverly Person did. And generally, in that kind of field, you're going to do with something geo. And anything that's geo, it's going to deal with Earth. You have geology, you have geotechnical engineering, foundation engineering. Those are areas that, if you would really want to get into rocks, earth science, then you can be a geophysicist. And then Stephanie D. Wilson, astronaut, aerospace engineer. Now, how to find out about more STEM careers? Well, I have everything up here, www.stemcareer.com. Then you have ONET Online STEM Disciplines and Occupational Outlook Handbook, or OH, Professional Occupations. And here are a few other decent websites: Discover Engineering, NASA Education, Engineer Your Life, Go Defense, STEM Pipeline Blog. And where can you use your strengths in STEM? Well, the question is, you can use STEM everywhere. I'm using STEM right now. I'm broadcasting over a platform called Zoom. If you look at my background, it's got a mathematical background. That's the technology. When you go into conferencing, you used to go into the office for meetings. You don't have to do that anymore. You get on a platform, Zoom, Teams, WebEx. You can do video conferencing. Another form of technology, education. Well, 20, 30, 40 years ago, we had to actually go to a brick and mortar campus. Now you don't have to do that. You can actually take courses online. And it used to be, before Teams and Zoom and even Skype came out, everything was basically silent. So what you would do, you would go in there and you just type something like you were texting. You didn't even know your classmates. Now you can get on camera and the instructor could sit in the privacy of his or her own home and share class notes, just like I did with my PowerPoint. These are areas of STEM, and STEM helps translate language. You know, if you don't speak Spanish, you go into Google, translation, your cell phone, AI, that's STEM. Now, I will tell you, just so you'll know, STEM is not for everybody. You have a number of people, and I know they talk about diversity. Well, you're not going to get a lot of diversity if you come from environments where you don't know math. It's just a fact. And not everybody's going to be interested. STEM is very demanding. Yes, it pays a lot. And sometimes you may go in other fields, may make quick money, but those other fields will basically level off. STEM, a lot of levels to learning. And if you really look at everything, STEM is in everything. And I'll give you an example right now. Engineering. Engineering is all STEM. Why? Because engineering is a science. You have to know the technology. Now, what's the technology that goes into engineering? Computers. Then you have to know the engineering part, design, math. I mean, engineering incorporates every part of STEM, medical, mathematics. STEM majors are very, very demanding. That's why you don't have a large population in STEM. Because if you're not a problem solver, STEM isn't for you. But if you enjoy innovation, you're going to have trial and error. You're going to have to take exams. I know I failed a few exams myself. But if STEM is what you want to do, STEM will make you strong. STEM will help you think. STEM is innovation. Look at YouTube. And there are new devices and prototypes being developed every day. Bottom line is this. If you want to go into STEM, it must be logical. You must have organizational skills. You must be a problem solver and be realistic. This is not a major of feeling. This is a major of solving problems, innovation, getting the answers. And with STEM, process is always continuing. And if you don't believe me, go all the way back to where the United States did nothing but agriculture. And we got into the Industrial Revolution. STEM evolves. It's going to continue to evolve. So if you really are interested in STEM, come share this video with your high school personnel, some college personnel, giving you the insight, where to look for the information, and how you can get into STEM. Again, want to get into STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Start off understanding basic math, basic science, basic engineering, basic technology. Because one aspect of STEM, the complex problems build off the basic problems. That's what you have to understand about STEM. And if you understand the basics, you will make it through STEM. That's not going to be easy. But if you put your discipline, your dedication into STEM, you will be rewarded. And you can change fields within STEM. You don't want to be a civil engineer and you want to go mechanical engineering. Well, basically, all the engineering, particularly during the first 2 years, they all have the same general requirements. You can do that. In fact, if you think about it, when you're in STEM, you can go in other fields like business. So if you're an industrial engineer major, you can go work in manufacturing, but you can also go work in banking. Because when it comes to STEM, your word is going to be trusted because you're constantly solving problems. And you need to be able to solve problems, particularly when you get into management, because you're going to have decisions to make. And with STEM as well, you can even become an entrepreneur by opening up your own business. But what I've done, I've laid out the careers in STEM. Again, just check out this video. Information is there. And you can, of course, leave a comment in the comment section. But when it comes to STEM, it's going to be biased. We all have a little bias in us. STEM is the way to go. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And that concludes this topic on the careers in STEM. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some political and social content, check out my main channel, the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show channel. Now, here's where you can find me. 411 Talk Zone Radio Show channel. You can find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble. And for the QCIS channel, find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And once again, thank you for viewing this content with Careers in STEM, QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. You ought to have a wonderful and gracious evening.